unverifiable voting in 2000.
Like you said to Trump, but they're getting beauty.
They said, go out there and rob these houses and bring back the bounty, and then that'll pay your way.
Because Republicans who get endorsement from Georgia carry that they mean anything.
You can't sit on the sidelines any longer. You must get involved in the game. This is your sign. All right, everybody, welcome to Small Town Underground on this Wednesday evening. We tried to get everything started about 8:30, and as always, we got to figure out how to get this thing rolling with all of this equipment. And so thank you for being with me. I do have a special live stream coming tomorrow evening. I'll mention and post it later as we go through. I'm pretty sure y'all might be getting sick and tired of seeing me up here just about every night as we did our live stream extravaganza this weekend. So we got one more and then we take a little break. So with me tonight is Mrs. Carol Gibsongirl Howard, and she is from Daytona Beach, Florida. She lives part-time there and part-time up here, and we've become pretty good friends. And we have a little special show tonight we wanted to kind of share with everybody about going through Hurricane Milton down in Daytona Beach. So, Carol, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, I know. It's been a minute. We actually are playing some music together and having a really good time. So I've gotten to know Carol and her husband Scott pretty well, and they're great people. And so we tried to do this show the other day, and just with all the technical difficulties, and of course they're down in Daytona Beach, you know, having to kind of play catch up with the weather. So finally we're bringing it tonight. So what's on your mind, Carol?
Well, like I said, thank you for doing this. I've just done videos in the past on my channel, so this is new to me to do something live like this. So I guess I'll get my feet wet on that.
Is this your first time?
Yes, first
well,
one.
I'm glad that
I really
it's
appreciate
great.
it.
That's awesome. Okay.
We've done. We're in Daytona, which is the east side, of course, and the storm Milton was supposed to come in, and it did in the Gulf, just like the Helene did.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, first I should say I've been here for all the storms except for one since 2008. And even the beginning of this was not normal on the east side. I've got pictures of all the other storms and the tides at the time. And this one was like the tide was being pushed in really early, all the way up to the entrances, splashing the seawall even before Milton even come into the Gulf. So that I knew that was going to be different. And we started getting, a lot of winds. Like it was like a 2 when it started hitting here. We even had 100-mile-an-hour winds that night.
Right.
And they would show the news reporters in Tampa, and they were getting, it didn't even look all that windy. It was strange. And then we were just being pounded on of here on the east side. But anyway, I'm not a professional or anything on weather, but I've been a sun worshiper all my life, and like looking forward to like what day is going to be sunny. So I'm real aware of how weather is, and especially here in Florida. That's why I wanted to be here part time.
Right.
But this storm, I was here for the beginning of Helene, which ended up being just catastrophic. And I had the reports then where they were talking about mudslides in the Appalachian and the storm going into the Appalachians in Tennessee and North Carolina. That's never happened. It sounded insane. And I mean, I know Mother Nature and God is in charge, and a lot of that stuff. We've always had storms, but I just wanted to be here to say, to be open-minded to the fact that it might be engineered. I can't prove it or anything,
Right.
but there is patterns. You have to stop me if I'm starting to sound crazy here,
No.
because I know I get told I'm crazy. But
Well, I mean, a lot of people, I think we talked about this a little before the show. So, none of us can prove that any manipulation happened to these hurricanes. And I really don't know. I mean, there's definitely people trying to prove that. I mean, I even saw something on Alex Jones talking about how the government admitted they had some planes that flew into Helene and, doing God knows what. It's hard for me to fathom that, right? It's hard for me to wrap it around my brain. But the point of all this is that, weather modification exists. Like you said, it's patented. We know that the governments and world governments participate in weather modification. So how could it not be plausible? And a lot of people want to chalk it up to nothing more conspiracy theory. But, a year ago, if you talked about cloud seeding or chemtrails and all this, you were called a complete crazy, tinfoil hatter. And now, the government talks about, well, yeah, we cloud seed. We do, it's just normal every day. And I think the moral of the story is at least we have people talking about it now.
yes, that's exactly what I want to do, is make people be open-minded to it, because if this really gets, it's already, if that's what's happening, it's already injuring so many people, killing people.
Right.
And not only that, it's going to make it where, I think it was one of the past presidents, Johnson or somebody, that said, if we own the weather, we control everything. That means they control the food, they kill the honeybees, you can't grow anything. I mean, it's that important that
Right.
people just at least think that this could be happening.
Well, sure. You're 100% right about that. And think about this. We got the Trump and we're trying to, elect Trump, and who does he have in his cabinet? Robert F. Kennedy. And what is Robert F. Kennedy's number one, issue moving into this, besides pharmaceuticals, is the food industry. He's literally coming out and talking about how bad that our food is, how bad these seed oils are. And if you were to go and talk about these kinds of things by yourself, you'd be called some sort of health nut, or you're one of those nature people, snake oil salesmen. Yet we have people now in government positions, people very high up, that are talking about our food is poisoning and destroying us. So, at this point, if you don't believe that there's something wrong with our food industry, I mean, your head's in the sand, right?
Exactly. You can look at the ingredients. You can take a product from, 5 years ago, and then compare it to one in the store now, and the list will be twice as long
Yeah,
on things you can't even pronounce,
exactly.
and things that are banned in other countries.
Mm-hmm.
So if they would poison us with food, why wouldn't they be spraying something that poisons us too?
Well, sure. I mean,
Out of all the things. So
sure. Obviously, we're living in a time right now where human life yet again has little value to, especially the upper echelon, and we're faced with this huge sort of artificial, this transhuman world that they're kind of crafting for us, right? To be sentient with robots, and it's coming, and of course that's all crazy talk when you start bringing that up about digital currency and your social credit scores and how robots are going to be one day linked into humans when we have somebody like Elon Musk that is running X that has just freed everything up for the First Amendment, yet he builds computer chips to go in your brain, and these robots are all over the place. So like I don't know, it's so mixed up. It's crazy.
it's so much going on that your head's just spinning. You don't know what to focus on.
Right.
And anywhere you can make a difference. But the weather stuff has definitely ramped up, of course, before the election.
Oh yes.
So that's suspicious, of course. But the other thing, like I said, they had Hurricane Milton, and then they're already talking about Hurricane Leslie, and supposedly it's still out there trying to develop. That used to never happen either.
Right.
Now they said Hurricane Nadine may develop, and we're already getting like 20, 30 mile an hour gusts now. And
Okay.
now they're already talking about Oscar. So.
Right. So you're down in Florida. So let's back up just a little bit. So I want to bring up some pictures real quick for everybody to show. We do have a couple of videos here, but let me just pull these up. So these are some of the personal pictures that you guys took, right? From the storm. All right. So that's just this one is the picture of the house that's just flooded out. I mean, we see these all over the place. This is something that you guys personally experienced, right?
And that's across the street. One of them is across the street, and he had it water like, I don't know, maybe a foot in his whole house. And he's been trying to dry it out. Of course, also our whole street was without power until yesterday.
Right.
And when we had it off and on, but our next door neighbor has been a generator the whole time.
Right. I know you.
As if we got a 3 storm, and it wasn't, and they're claiming it was a 1. But
right.
Anyway.
Right, but they weren't talking about kind of that outlying whip, that counterclockwise whip that you guys got hit with in Daytona, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
And flooded. The flooding was just rampant. Our street usually doesn't flood, but it flooded. It was almost in our crawl space.
Right.
I mean, there's so much worse things can happen. And I'm so thankful that we came out like we did.
Sure.
But and a lot of people didn't. But it doesn't make sense with the predictions and the things. And like I said, of 8 years of listening to predictions and watching the sun and all that stuff, it just doesn't make sense.
Right. Okay, I'm going to play the video now of the woman waiting, of course.
Okay.
Let's see. I hope that shows up. Let's see. No, I can't play that right now, but you guys got a picture of a woman just waiting. I mean, it's nothing unusual that we're talking about here, but this is something that you guys went through, and storm after
it was
storm.
Supposed to be bad on the other side, but
Yes. Let's see.
and it flooded. It's flooded the downtown a lot, even when it wasn't. It used to never flood downtown.
Sure.
And that's another odd thing. It rained. We had like just several days of the skies were just sprayed up real massive, and it rained and saturated it before the storm.
Right.
So
All
we
right.
used to board up in the sunshine,
Right. All right. I'm showing the picture of Walmart, Daytona Beach after Milton. Employees were taking beef off the shelves. Why? Okay.
They didn't explain. They just said we're having to take it off, and our friend said, "Well, can we just buy some of it?" And the guy just kind of They were always a little sheepish about it and just kept pushing it off. So I don't know what the deal was with that, but that's the
Right.
second Walmart that they done that on.
Wow. I wonder why. I wonder if they thought that it was going to be contaminated.
I don't know.
Oh.
I really don't.
Right.
That's a question. But there's a lot of questions. So
Okay, so I want to bring up this one. You can kind of explain this to the people. That you sent this to me. This was, where am I at here? Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna just read it a little bit of it. Hurricane Nadine. Hurricane Nadine was a catastrophic Cat 5 hurricane that struck Central America and the Bahamas in October 24. It was the 14th and final named storm of the 2024 season. It developed on October the 20th due to an interaction between a tropical wave and an upper level low, and initially moved westward, then turned northwestward, affecting Belize and Guatemala before making landfall in the Bahamas. At its peak, it reached maximum sustained winds of 175 miles an hour and a minimum central pressure of 901. The storm brought catastrophic winds, storm surge, and flooding to the affected areas, resulting in at least 2,700 fatalities and an estimated 15 in damages. Now that's heavy. So let's explain a little of that to us.
okay, I got that from. It was like the day after Milton was finished here,
Okay.
and there's a podcaster named Real Fishing Life, and he actually is a fisherman in Alaska and the Gulf, and that's all he's done his whole career. So he's watched weather even more than I have, and he had received this from an email, and it was on something, not Wikipedia, but something like it. Well, I was sitting in my living room and I was trying to find it, and I came up on it, and then I don't know why, if I didn't snap a picture of it or if they've wiped it from the internet, because I can't find it now. But that's what his whole podcast was about. He's always telling the truth, and he was saying, why is this already being predicted as if it's happened?
Right.
So it's kind of scary that they're going to form all these together and create something really catastrophic, as if North Carolina and Tennessee was it. We know it was. It's horrible.
Yes.
But it's really strange because they did that after the Hawaii event,
Maui.
Lahaina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they already had like a book out on Amazon like the day after it.
I remember
There's
that.
no way you can write a book. It was
Right.
kind of the same thing.
So
Why are they already predicting it?
Sure, I thought that's interesting. So, for example, I don't think we want to lead anybody astray. I appreciate
No.
you brought that up because today is the 16th. So, just the simple fact that that's there, maybe we can keep our eyes out for the 20th to
Right.
see if something like that actually does happen, because it would be a little crazy if that were to happen. And, you see all these videos all the time of, I get a lot of people show me those Alexa videos where they always ask who's the president and who, won the presidential
Yes.
primary. I mean, I'm always a skeptical. I question everything. I don't know if that guy's got a pre-recorded Alexa, and I don't have an Alexa, so I've not tried it.
Well,
But
we don't either.
you never can tell who's wanting for clicks or clickbait type stuff. But hey, that's something that at least that you could see that could be a flag, and we'll see if that actually might happen. We do know that there's more storms forming in the Atlantic and coming up that way, so who knows? Right.
Exactly. It's not. I can't prove it or anything, but it is suspicious, especially after what happened on the fires. In
Sure.
Hawaii. So.
And we still,
makes
I
you
don't think
think it
we
can
still
happen.
have, we still don't really know exactly what was going on there. I continue to remember the videos of the lasers, the green lasers going up into the sky. There's so many
Yes.
people that are able to track satellites and things like that. And we've been talking about fires being started from, satellite lasers for a long, long time. And then, oh yes, it sounds crazy, but America has patents on these kinds of things. They use lasers, they use frequencies. I mean, obviously I'm not saying that we take this and run with it, but let me give you a good example, Carol, of where my mind is at. So a couple of weeks ago, all of these horrible hurricanes are hitting land. North Carolina is just completely devastated unimaginable, damage and loss of life, and never mind the fact that we didn't have a big response from the government at all. In fact, it was a very bureaucratic and sort of evil response. But what all of this brought to sort of the public, what I call the, in the kitchen, like water cooler talk, was weather modification, right? And what did we get? We got tons of pushback about talking about these kinds of things and bringing them up. And then all of a sudden some receipts started being shown, right? Where you're watching Michio Kaku, on national television talking about it. You're watching the History Channel, that all of these things, people are sharing the patents. You've got people in office that are talking about this, right? Never mind the fact that we've had at least, 3 states that have banned chemtrails, sign executive legislation, right? So once we get out of that territory where we're not afraid anymore of saying, hey, yeah, I'm questioning this, what happens this week? All of a sudden the government's releasing declassified documents on UFOs, and all of a sudden we've got drone swarms and we've got all this talk about UFOs. It just looks to me like the government just decided to, you know what, they're talking about weather modification. We need them to shut up, so we're going to dangle this little shiny object over here over here so people start looking elsewhere. Now this week everybody's talking about UFOs, like they want us to forget about North Carolina and Hurricane Milton. Do you see that?
Right. Yes, absolutely. It's and the people are still suffering right now.
Yes.
It's like why do we not have just thousands of helicopters and people in there helping them? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, our government's too busy sending our National Guard overseas to fight wars.
I know.
It's insanity.
If they would do that, why wouldn't they do this manipulation to make hardships on people and end up controlling us?
Yes, that's my whole point.
That's my thinking.
We question everything, right? And obviously, these hurricanes have been very devastating, and we've got more weather that's possibly on the way right before this insane election cycle that we're fixing to go through. So we just don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm just kind of hanging on.
I know. I just think the more that people that do open their eyes and start researching it. Matter of fact, most of the time, by the time we actually see something happening, they kind of let us see it on the internet or whatever. Usually it's been happening 5 years, by the time we actually see it, even though they call it a conspiracy theory.
Right.
But that's what they call everything.
Well, they do.
So I guess give me a 10-fold hat.
Sure, if the worst thing you can call me is a conspiracy theorist, then I think I'm doing pretty good, But there's, I really think that people are uncomfortable with the sort of the truth sometimes. I think people are uncomfortable, especially because we don't know, right? We are speculating at every step of the way, right? None of us are scientists, none of us are meteorologists. We don't work for HAARP, but we know enough that something nefarious could be going on. And if they've been working on technology like this for decades, right? Well, where does that lead? Because if you look at technology, they've been working on artificial intelligence for decades. They've been writing about all these things in decades. And now they're promising us that by 2040, we're going to be completely sentient with artificial intelligence. I mean, what kind of pictures,
no, it's scary.
What kind of pictures are the government painting us? That's what I want to know. Am I crazy for questioning these things, but you show it to me on television and you patent these devices and you talk about the future, about how you want weather modification to look like. But then when I say, yeah, you could be manipulating the weather, oh, you better shut up. You're a conspiracy theorist. I mean, it's insane.
I know. And if they're that adamant to keep us from knowing it, it's like anything they do that on almost seems like, then that makes it pretty sure that something's happening.
Exactly.
I mean, that seems to be the block most.
Yep. And if you
that's a big deal.
If you think the government has your best interests at hand, you're thinking again.
No.
So.
And a lot of people don't want to accept that. They think the government would do that. But our government has been, this is my opinion, I don't want to say anything wrong here, but My opinion is it's been infiltrated with people that don't love America and
Amen.
don't love us.
We know that.
So,
You know, anybody can say whatever they want about Donald Trump, but the fact that I've got to wake up every day and listen to these brain dead idiots try to sell me a Kamala Harris. I mean, I feel like I'm living in La La Land. Like I get dumber every time I see a clip of her talking or God knows word salad, whatever it is, and I'm like, I'm not a very smart man. Okay, I am not, but I'm telling you.
but you're unburdened about what has been.
Yeah. Well, I'm a genius compared to these idiots. I can't understand it. And to me, if these Democrats propping people up like this and Joe Biden is like that's the best you have. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I know. I don't understand how. The main thing is if people would stop believing that the mainstream news is telling them the truth.
Oh God.
That's the problem. That they still believe everything they tell them.
And then the View.
The View says it.
Oh, The View's got to be the most god awful show I've ever. Even back whatever it was, 15, 20 years ago when my kids were growing up, and my work schedule when I'd be home with them, of course you do turn the cartoons on and then The View, and I mean I couldn't even stomach it back then. I used to have a lot more respect for Whoopi Goldberg, but she flew off the cuckoo's nest.
Yes,
It's crazy.
it's all just a big joke.
It really is.
Mainstream media is just the same. Pretty
Yeah.
much. They don't sound as goofy, but people still believe it, and it's not true.
Yeah, I mean,
If they won't turn it off.
I don't understand how the mainstream media has or can't figure out why nobody trusts them anymore, why people are going to social media and different independent journalists, and they can't understand yet every one of their talking points are the same. Every one of them, they spew the same garbage on every network. Obviously they're getting paid a large sum of money to just get told what to say. It's ridiculous, but.
I know. I feel like there's kind of a uniparty now as far as the politicians that have been in there so many years.
Oh yeah.
And they're just a mouthpiece for the left.
Oh, 100%.
Put it that way.
Now we do want to cover this one picture you sent me. We didn't talk about this, but I'm gonna pull it up real quick because I think Scott sent it. But it says ex-military bioenvironmental engineer Kristen Megan blows whistle on Air Force chemtrails. So what's this one all about?
Okay. I have a couple of three weather videos on mine, which I'm still learning. So,
Right.
Getting my feet wet on all this, but I've been doing it about over a year and a half. I don't know, but I've got like three weather ones, and I do have one with her in it.
Mhm.
She was actually in the Air Force, and I can't remember her actual title, like engineer of. She was over the clean air, what we breathe. What was it, Scott? Industrial hygienist. I couldn't think of it. And that's what she did in the Air Force, real educated. And she would have to test the air, test things they were doing. When she started seeing that what they were sending her samples, and she was seeing the barium, strontium, and all that stuff that which I believe they're spraying.
Like the metals and the chemtrails.
Yes.
The metal. Okay.
And she started to question it. And then they began to immediately threaten her and tell her that they kind of threatened to take her daughter away, like she wasn't fit, like she had some mental problems, and scared her to death, because she was questioning it. So she ends up a whistleblower. She eventually got out of the Air Force and spoke about it. She's been speaking about it a long time, like probably at least 10 years.
I think I've heard of her before.
Yeah, she's really good and brave for doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But you can tell she's just telling the truth. She was seeing it on the paperwork, the lab test.
Sure.
And they stopped her from talking about it. But you can still find her, and I've got a clip of her, I think, on one of mine.
Yeah, did she come out with James O'Keefe? Do you know if she did or not? It seems like I saw. I don't know. I might be getting her
I
confused.
didn't see it if she did.
Okay, gotcha.
She did go into some school boards. I think she was in like Michigan at that time, but she did some school board things about the mask, explaining as her career, what she was a specialist at, that the masks they do not work. She was trying to explain it to the school board because they didn't listen to that either. But
Right. Okay. Let me see here.
she still speaks about web stuff.
For some reason, we've got an echo on you. I'm gonna see if I can get that gone. Let's see. I don't know why. We shouldn't have an echo. I swear these things. You kind of cut out just a little bit, and I think you may have had an echo. So I hope it's not bad, but it should be fixed. You only got you coming in one line.
Maybe
so.
I'll get.
No, I think you're good.
It might be me. I'll get better at this, maybe.
Well, I know that we're having a little bit of connection issues because you're still down in Daytona, and Lord knows I follow Candace Taylor, of course, and they went, I think, down in South Georgia like 8 days without power, from the hurricane.
It's awful.
So it's been
we
been
take
crazy.
it for granted. Yeah.
We certainly do, and I think that's something that we all need to learn from all of this is when when disaster strikes, you better be as prepared as you possibly can be, right? I mean, I know you can't just go out and buy 6 months worth of food and water and that thing, but and also in that same token, I think this is something that probably scares the government is how big of a response that your communities will be in situations like this. Because obviously the government, I mean, we know the government dropped the ball. Whether they did it intentionally or not intentionally doesn't even matter. It should just show you that the government is not going to be your savior. It's the people around you, your communities. It's those that are going to stand up and step up. And I think that kind of scares the government, It makes them, these FEMA people talking about making them look bad. You made yourself look bad. I mean, it's a travesty. It is an absolute travesty.
Right, Roy, exactly.
And
I was thinking, they underestimated these Southern people, stepping up. And we're used to helping people and making our own way. And I think they might have underestimated that and thought it would just get kind of quieted down, but it's not.
No, and those awful, awful videos of the North Carolina National Guard rotor washing the United Cajun Navy. I don't know if you saw them or not, but my Lord, I mean, that's just despicable to me.
No, it is.
And then you had Glenn Beck going out, and I can't remember the other gentleman's name that went with him, talking to these FEMA volunteers that are sitting in the back of shopping centers, not anywhere really near the ground zero, just sitting there with no signage, no anything, just waiting on people to sign up. You had these FEMA people denying help, what little crappy help that the government was willing to give. And by telling these people, well, you need to go online and sign, I'm like, these people lost everything they have, and you're telling them they got to find some power to go online and sign up for FEMA.
I know, it's insane.
But
blocking off the roads, you can't go in to help them. Some of them were finding back roads to get in.
Yes,
they're blocking them, helping people. It's unbelievable. It's horrible.
Now, how are you guys faring in Daytona? There's a lot of community efforts there. Everybody's checking on everybody. I mean,
there seems to be. We've even had a couple of neighbors, that were helping take food to people and deliver hamburgers and stuff. So they're stepping up. There's a lot of good people here, that do that. It was just today that a lot of them got power back on.
Wow.
There's power trucks everywhere, which I'm glad DeSantis did that.
Yes. I mean, Ron DeSantis has done more for Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina than most anybody has done.
He stepped up on it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's doing it, and it's everybody's recovering good. Like I said, it wasn't anything like what's happened, on the Gulf side, or nowhere near, Tennessee or North Carolina.
Right.
But it was way more than it was supposed to be, and didn't make sense with the predictions
Right.
anyway. But
I got you.
it's been flooded really bad. Some of them had 2 or 3 feet in their house. There's couches out on the streets, where
Right.
furniture on the street and all that. But other than, I guess everybody fared pretty good.
Well, I've certainly never been through a hurricane, nor do I ever want to. But I will tell you this, and we live up here. You also live up here close to me, and I was told my entire life that, oh, there'll never be tornadoes around this area. There's too many mountains, and tornadoes can't cross these kinds of paths, and it's got to be, it's out in Kansas. I mean, that's what our teachers in school taught us. And then after that tornado hit in Ringgold several years ago, which I was home that day, not in Ringgold, but we saw the activity. We're really close, but they made a believe that I became a believer that tornadoes do exist, and since then we take precautionary measures. Right? We know that if a tornado were ever touched down where we live, everything would be obliterated. So, and bless the people that lost loved ones during that, and of course through all of this. And you see these horrible videos from North Carolina where these huge raging bodies of water are just rushing at people in split seconds, and it's like they had no idea. And it's just terrible. And I've traveled them roads. I lived up in North Carolina. I lived over in Murphy and Andrews area. I've been close to some of this stuff. It's just it breaks my heart. It really does. So
it does mine too. Hearing the stories about the kids, like little kids lost and not can't find their parents. We don't know what all's true, but any of that's horrible.
Well, we're inundated with information, and I always try to take sort of a level-headed, non-knee-jerk reaction. I've been sitting back and watching and trying to direct people to where they can give and send help. But once the dust settles and you really kind of see the reality of the situation on the ground, and even after all this time, we still don't have government presence there. We never had media presence there. For days and days, other than my trusted sources I go to, that's non-mainstream media, but you pull up the news aggregates, and nobody was talking about North Carolina. None of these stories had gotten out. You imagine if it was Baltimore, Maryland, or if it was Chicago or San Francisco, we'd be hearing about all these things. But because of where it was, nobody's wanting to report on it, and that's so sad to me.
And that to me should wake people up. That's definitely not right.
No,
and not the way it's been done in the past. Americans are coming last in everything.
That's right.
But especially, like you said, the Southeast there. But
that
should wake people up if nothing does.
You had pundits going on TV saying that, well, we're not too worried about people in Asheville because they'll find a way to vote. But these people over here on East Tennessee, Western North Carolina, they'll probably have a problem. Like, kind of laughing about it, being snooty about it. I remember getting so pissed off when I saw the clip of this guy, and I can't even think of his name because, I mean, we get so much coming at us, but man, I got so pissed when I listened to the words he said. I mean, I just wanted to ram my fist through a wall. It was insane. Just the callousness of these people. But we're certainly glad that you guys weathered Hurricane Milton, and looking forward to seeing you in person. We
are too. And
go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say, we're thankful that we did too. And praying for all the people in North Carolina and Tennessee, and some of us in Georgia. And I can't, do one without saying that leaning on God is the only way we get through it all anyway.
Right.
So if anyone's out there worshiping climate or worshiping some of this government stuff, or just turn to God, and because have faith over fear.
That's right. So. Always. So I do want to pick your brain for a minute, but we'll go to comments in a second. We got a big election coming up, so I want to hear your take on the election. What do you think's going to happen?
I feel like, of course, I know that Trump is going to get all the votes, or what I mean, the votes to win. I'm not, that wouldn't be a problem. But I think it's going to come down to late at night, and they're going to say, oh, we just can't get the votes counted, and try to delay it if we even get to the point of voting.
Mm-hmm.
But my opinion on what, how you hear people say, well, they're all in it and our vote don't count anyway, so what's the point? Well, to that I say, yeah, it may not count. They may cheat so bad, and they will cheat. But whatever happens, we're not, Bill Gates rich billionaires or anything. So to me, it's a way to show our resistance and not comply, and showing that they're not going to just take us down that easy. We're not going communist that easy.
Right.
So vote anyway. Go and vote for Trump. Vote for the felon, and he's not really a felon, but
Right.
And that, to me, it shows resistance. If there's, most of America says we're not taking this, and our vote shows that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh yeah,
to me, it's a way of do not comply.
Right. Well, we got an uphill battle, to say the least, but I think the biggest tool in our war chest is to actually participate and go vote, no matter how screwed up the election system is, no matter how the fact that we have to vote on these dominion systems, you must participate. I wouldn't miss this for the world,
Yeah, that's exactly right, because it shows that this is our voice, and that's the only thing we've got. So.
Right. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this election actually happens and that Donald Trump does win a landslide victory, and then we'll deal with the next catastrophe after that. So, all right.
I'm with you. I agree.
All right, Carol, we're going to go to comments real quick. So Sharon Holland, thank you for watching. Appreciate you so much. And she's also the one that told me that we had an echo, and that was my fault. Apparently the sound was on the browser and it doubled it, but hopefully it didn't mess anything up. So Mike Anderson, good to have you with us. Mike is a great patriot. He says it's definitely modification. Just go to geoengineering. I mean, I can't argue with that. Like I said, we know that weather modification exists. We know that cloud seeding exists. We know that all of these things exist, and that our governments around the world are working on these kinds of things. So it's certainly plausible when you talk about being able to spray chemicals and metals in the air that can make things rain at a certain amount of time. Even you remember the old movie Back to the Future 2, when they go back into the future, and Doc Brown was, timing the weather because they had it pinpointed exactly when it was going to rain, exactly when it was. I mean, all of this stuff is connected like that. We grew up with movies watching. I'm just saying it's plausible. I don't think anybody here is saying that it happened, but we're saying it's certainly plausible, and that thank God that it's out there in the open now. People can talk about it, because we've now got cloud seeding across the conspiracy sphere, right? Now the government's like, well, of course we cloud seed. A year ago, they would have never said that they cloud seeded. Now they're saying, well, of course we cloud seed. It's just little tidbits, right?
Right. So, yeah, it's getting there. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is this is the hardest thing, even if you get everybody that on board with it, you can't even find where they're landing. I won't start to sound crazy there, but all these planes up there doing checkerboards, and you're thinking, when you check the flight apps, like my brother flies, and you can check and see where their flight plan is. There's no flight plan, but yet you see planes crisscrossing up there. So,
well, not only that, but if a meteorologist, let's just hypothesize for a second. If a meteorologist, like the Weather Channel, has C-130s or whatever kind of cargo planes that they can actually fly into a hurricane and fly into the eye where it's nice and calm, and they can do studies, and then they can fly out, right? If they have the capabilities of doing that, do you not think that the government or a HARP program or a weather engineering program wouldn't have the same capabilities? I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
That
reminded me.
It's not crazy talk.
Too.
Sure.
When they flew into Milton, we were watching it, the news and stuff, alternative news about it and stuff. And when they flew into it that last time, it had weakened, but then when the planes came out, that's when it strengthened to a 5. So I thought that was kind of strange.
Sure.
Just another one of those things, but.
Strange things going on all over the place, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mike Anderson again says, great job. You guys are always telling the truth, not to gain anything, just to reach people. I mean, nobody here, we're not touting conspiracies. We're just hypothesizing based on facts is really what it is.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how much plainer you can make it. David Mabe, good to have you with us. He says, there is no conspiracies and there is no coincidence. Well, I mean, look, man, you're kind of, I mean, you're right. Conspiracy is a made-up word by the CIA to begin with. When you talk about Operation Mockingbird and how they try to control you through the media, I mean, come on. It's become this dirty word now where, you start talking this stuff, well, you're just a crazy kook. Well, look how many things now we can actively and freely talk about. Look, COVID, for example, and we're definitely not getting off into COVID, but let's just say we know a whole lot of facts that were crazy conspiracy theories a few years ago, right? And that's all we'll say about that. But, I mean, as we move further and further into this, like weather modification became the water cooler talk, and now the government says, well, of course we're cloud seeding. You know, I know 6 months ago people were fighting over chemtrails online when the state government started saying, hey, we're going to ban these things from the sky. And they said, oh, well, Lord, you're a conspiracy. Now they're admitting it. Yeah, we cloud seed.
Yes. Why would you pass a law to ban it if it's happening?
Exactly.
Like Tennessee, that's crazy.
Well,
of course, it's happening somewhere.
You ain't kidding. All right, Sharon, thank you for letting me know about the echo. I appreciate it, and thank you, Mike. And hey, Carol, I want you to tell everybody where they can find you. You've got a Rumble channel, right?
Yes, it's like I said, I'm still learning, praying that God help me get better at it. But it's Carol space Gibsongirl on Rumble. Okay. I'm gonna try to get spread out to some other social medias, but I haven't managed it yet. So
gotcha.
That's where you can find me.
Well, I'm a subscriber to your channel. I watch your content, and I'm very grateful that you've given me the opportunity to let me bring you out here on live tonight. And
well, I'm grateful to you. Thank you so much.
Well, we continue to pray for you guys and pray for all of the victims in North Carolina, the ones still in Georgia, all across the South, as we keep our eyes open. And like we mentioned earlier, this Hurricane Nadine, right? Nobody says that what we just read off earlier is going to happen, but it certainly would be interesting. So we must keep our eyes open, situational awareness. At any moment's time, we could have disaster in our path. So,
right. Well, thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome. And I'm going to give you the last word before we go. So what do you want to tell everybody?
Like I said a little bit earlier, there's so much happening right now. Your head's just in a spin you just keep hearing things. But even like I heard today that the military, they passed some kind of amendment law or something.
The DOD, yes.
Into it. Yeah, about the military.
About using lethal force on Americans.
Yeah, that's terrible. I
is.
don't know the details of it, but I'm just saying that's just one more thing. You hear something every day that's bad. Mm-hmm. So my thing is pray about it.
That's right.
And we all need to just lean on God and don't worship climate, don't worship scientists and all that stuff. So
and lean on each other.
Only one way.
Right. Your community will have your back no matter what. And the government, that scares the crap out of them.
Yes, it does.
All right. Well, we're going to get off here. Just stay on, Carol. I'm going to go ahead and play us out. Guys, we got a special live stream tomorrow evening. I will announce it tomorrow morning and get everything on board. And thanks again, Carol. And you guys be careful. Can't wait to see you.
Thank you. You too.
I will see everybody tomorrow night. Okay?
legislature legalized unverifiable voting in 2000.
Like you said to Trump, but they're getting booty.
They said, go out there and rob these houses and bring back the bounty, and then that'll pay your way.
Because Republicans who get endorsement from Georgia carry that they mean anything.
You can't sit on the sidelines any longer. You must get involved in the game. This is your sign.